tradition in our lovely country, we start everything auspicious with lighting the inaugural lamp. And we do have our esteemed guests in the house. I'd like to now start inviting our guests towards the lamp. I would like to start by inviting the one and only lady in the contingent, inviting Miss Sakhila Mirza, the Executive Director, London Bullion Market Association, LBMA, requesting Mr. Srivatsava Ganpati to escort her towards the lamp. Also inviting now Shri Prithviraj Kothari ji, National President IBJA. Welcome back, sir. Happy to see you again. Also inviting Shri Vikas Singh, the Managing Director and CEO, MMTC PAMP India Private Limited. Inviting the Regional CEO, India World Gold Council, Shri P R Somasundaram. Welcome back to IGC, sir. And of course, we have Mr. Srivatsava Ganpati from Eventel. Requesting everyone, please close up towards the inaugural lamp. मंगल दीप के प्रज्वलन के साथ इस कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाते हैं.
वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा. गणपतये नमः. ॐ गणपतये नमः. ॐ गणपतये नमः.
So ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude lighting the lamp, गणपति जी का नमन हो गया, अग्नि देव का आह्वान हो गया. अब बारी है उनकी, जिनको याद किए बिना हम किसी भी कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत नहीं कर सकते. हमारा उनके बिना कोई अस्तित्व भी नहीं. Requesting all our guests to please straight away join us on the stage for this. And as our guests walk up to the stage, Mr. Kothari sir, let's have you on the stage. Mr. Somasundaram, Sakhila ma'am, everyone please. Vikas Singh sir. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as I start this year, let me tell you that this year, not only do we celebrate 20 years of this amazing networking platform, it also gives me great pleasure to let you all know that we have received a record number of delegate registrations, close to 600 for this year. Please give yourselves a resounding round of applause for that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to invite somebody who literally eats, breathes, and sleeps gold as a commodity. A person who's so committed to the cause. कहते हैं मैं अकेला ही चला था जानिबे मंजिल की ओर, लोग मिलते गए कारवां बनता गया. शायद उनको ये शायरी बहुत ज्यादा समझ नहीं आई होगी, लेकिन जो सुन रहे हैं, आई होप आप में से बहुतों को समझ आई होगी. तो प्लीज एक बार जोरदार तालियां for none other than Mr. Srivatsava Ganpati, who extends a welcome address to each one of you.
Distinguished dignitaries on the diet, Ms. Sakhila Mirza, Executive Director, London Bullion Market Association, Mr. Vikas Singh, MD CEO, MMTC PAMP India Private Limited, Mr. P R Somasundaram, Regional CEO, World Gold Council India, Mr. Prithviraj Kothari, National President, India Bullion and Jewellers Association, IBJA, dignitaries of the dais, expert speakers, bullion and jewelry industry veterans from India and rest of the world, representatives from government, representatives from press and media, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the India Gold Conference 2023 in the wonderful city of joy, that is Kolkata. Hope you had a pleasant journey into the city. We are extremely excited to see you all today. Sri Ashutosh Awasthi ji, Chief Commissioner of Customs, Kolkata, was supposed to be the chief guest for this function, had to go to Delhi on official duty on an urgent basis. He has sent his regrets that he could not join this. I hope we would see him in the future editions. Ms. Sakhila Mirza is a leading gold bar integrity initiatives at LBMA among so many other initiatives that she is involved with. Her presence here and participation in discussion tomorrow are therefore very important for all of us. I welcome you, ma'am, and look forward to your address. The India gold market in 2022-23 witnessed huge swings in prices and perhaps for the first time, an extended period of market remaining in discount. Historic high price of gold in INR increased scrap flows, led to sizable destocking by jewelers. We also saw huge auctions by loan companies, gold loan companies, towards the end of last year. The year 2022-23 also witnessed several path-breaking new initiatives. India-UAE Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, or India-UAE SEPA as we call it, became operational from May 2022. IIBX commenced its operation from August 2022. Compulsory hallmarking became operational last year. New guidelines are being formed for hallmarking of bullion. MCX witnessed historic volumes in options as well as spike in delivery volumes. Every established model of business, be it consignment sale model or competitiveness of bringing doré into refineries or jewelry demand-based inventory management system and so on, had to be reviewed and revalidated last year. In fact, last year, perhaps I would say, marked the beginning of what is that in store for the next 5 to 10 years' time. Given these developments, the IGC 2023 becomes very significant for every player along the supply chain to contribute, learn, unlearn, relearn, collaborate, and emerge successful. With this in mind, we have developed the program agenda with the help of our committee. Following the inaugural, we would have short roundtable discussion around policy reforms and the way forward. Wishing you all the very best. With this, I welcome you all once again to IGC 2023. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Srivatsava. It's time for me to invite somebody who not only is one of the very regular fixtures that you would see at India Gold Conference, he's also a great mentor and a supporter of the entire initiative of this platform. Ladies and gentlemen, as I tell you a little bit more about him, though I doubt if you need any more information about him, he's always around and always open to interactions. Ladies and gentlemen, he's been with the gold bullion industry for over 30 years, and under his dynamic presidentship, IBJA has launched several new initiatives for its members. IBJA also has to be working very closely with government, providing crucial inputs to the policy making, and IBJA's spot price of gold and silver, as you're all aware, is used by RBI as reference points. Ladies and gentlemen, under his dynamic leadership, IBJA is charting new milestones very fast. Please put your hands up for none other than Mr. Prithviraj Kothari.
नमस्ते सभी को सादर जय जिनेंद्र गुड इवनिंग इट्स ऑनर टू स्टैंड बिफोर यू all today on the occasion of India Gold Conference 2023. After successful IGC Chennai last year, on behalf of IBJA, I extend a warm welcome to all dignitaries, industry experts, regulators, policymakers, honored guests, sponsors, and the jewelers community at this conference. 20 सालों से ये कॉन्फ्रेंस पूरी इंडस्ट्री के लिए सबसे बेहतरीन प्लेटफॉर्म है जहां देश भर से इंडस्ट्री के लोग मिलते हैं. इस साल सबसे ज़्यादा 600 से ज़्यादा रजिस्टर्ड हुए हैं. When we met last year in Chennai for this conference, gold prices were trading around $1,800 per ounce. It means 51,500 per 10 grams. And in the last year, prices were escalated by around 16 to 17% from then. High inflation, central banks, gold buying, and China and Russia lead for de-dollarization movement are the main reason for the rise in gold prices in 2022 alone. Central banks bought over 157 tons of gold and another 387 in the first 6 months of 2023 too. Hence, gold sale continued to remain attractive. As central bank of the development nation have raised interest rate rapidly multi-decade high levels. This is going to hamper the growth in the next year. as we are near the peak interest rates. Recession risks are looming in USA, UK, and Eurozone. Therefore, de-dollarization and recession risk are the two factors that will support gold prices in the short to medium term. Having said that, India is a geo-economic sweet spot. The IMF has recently raised its forecast for the country's growth to 6.1%. With inflation under control, demand for gold will continue to stay strong despite record high prices. As the IIBX continue to involve the address the initial challenges, it's expected to pave the way for a more efficient and streamlined bullion trading ecosystem in India. I congratulate them for various innovations being brought in the latest being pioneering in 30 minutes BDR settlement for seamless bullion trade. Furthermore, IBJA is taking various initiatives for creating awareness, training, and supporting the jewelers community through programs like Pyre Bazaar, Jewelers Connect, Javeri Bazaar Festival, gem and jewelry shows, fairs, exhibition, and recently we did Karigar Upliftment Program in Javeri Bazaar also. And through various discussions with the jewelers community, we come to know that there are a few concerns and issues that the industry is facing, which I would like to address today. सबसे बड़ी इनिशिएटिव IBJA की जो है वो है फेयर एंड ट्रांसपेरेंट एडवाइस एंड रिकमेंडेशन टू द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया फॉर पॉलिसी मेकिंग which will benefit not only the industry but also the consumers and the India at large. Our biggest initiative is Gold Craft, Gem and Jewelry Industry Park, India's largest gem and jewelry park in Navi Mumbai, construction for which will start soon after the monsoon. I would like to conclude my speech with some of key point changes that the industry requests for the government. First, the industry's biggest issue today is the differential duty structure. This needs to resolve, otherwise the market will always be at disparity. Gold refiners run business at paper-thin gross margin of 0.65% in India. Because of CIPA and FTA related lower duties, some of them are under financial stress as production is stopped for a much longer period during the year due to disparity in prices. About 600 to 800 kilo of gold dore has been imported in the last few months at zero duty for the least developed nations. IBJA has urged the government to immediately stop the duty-free import of gold dore from least developed African countries like Guinea, as this is creating an unequal playing field and also resulting a huge loss to the exporter as well as the genuine refiners. Before the 2023 budget, the import duty of gold and silver was 10%. Hence, the CIPA agreement allowed bullion import at 9.5, giving a concession of 0.5%. But even after annual budget hiked the import duty of bullion metal to 15%, the duty structure under CIPA was still kept at 9% and was not revised, which is now confusing. IBJA has raised an alarm against the import of silver at just 9% duty against the applicable 50% tax rate. CIPA agreement need to be revised for silver import duty as this is causing a loss of state executor. One new revolutionary initiative from IBJA is LO Revolution to transform the Indian gold market. IBJA Joint Secretary will be making a representation on the same tomorrow. But for the LO revolution to be really successful, issue related to GST on EGR need to urgently be resolved. The aim of LO revolution is to make India self-reliant for its gold needs. The duty drawback structure. The duty drawback rate on gold was increased in July 2020 by 15.6% from 372.9 per gram to 431.1 per gram. But this is not enough to encourage exports. The revision in drawback rates will provide much needed relief to gold jewelry exports. Also, the process of duty drawback need to be simplified. It's been a year since IIBX started its operation and trading volume on IIBX has been underwhelming. The reason for this. RBI has not permitted Indian banks to participate, leading to low liquidity. Moreover, the applicability of IGR rules puts direct import by a TR key holder under UAE SIPA through the IIBX platform at a disadvantage. Furthermore, gold refiners are not benefit setting up refinery at IIBX. Gold refiners get benefit of 0.65% setting up refinery, elsewhere no such benefit at IIBX. PMLA norms stipulate KYC free cash sale up to 50,000 per person. The process of reporting transactions need to be simplified and digitalized so that retail sales are not impacted for jewelers. ये सब पॉइंटों के लिए 2 दिन तक एक कॉन्फ्रेंस चलेगी जिसमें हम लोग सब लोग बैठ के यहाँ पे विचार विमर्श करेंगे, अपना बिजनेस कैसे बढ़ाना है, कैसे स्ट्रीमलाइन करना है, कैसे गोल्ड इंडस्ट्री को एक स्ट्रीमलाइन किया जाए, गवर्नमेंट को भी उसकी बेनिफिट होए। इसीलिए गोल्ड कॉन्फ्रेंस में हम लोग 2 दिन बैठ के मंथन करते हैं कि आगे पॉलिसी हमारी कैसी हो। एक बार फिर से मैं आप सबका धन्यवाद करता हूँ। थैंक यू। जय हिंद।
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to now invite our next speaker onto the podium. Let me tell you that Mr. P R Somasundaram, or as most of you know him as Som, joined the World Gold Council in January 2013. He's based in Mumbai and responsible for leading the World Gold Council's activities across the Indian gold market with over 27 years of experience across diverse industries. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands up for P R Somasundaram.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, congratulations, Srivatsa, you and your team, for doing this for over 20 years. I've been in this industry last 10 years. I can tell you every year when we have our discussions, we always have one question, whether it be January, February, when is the IGC and where is he keeping it? So it's so much part of the bullion industry and what we do, our annual planning. So it's a wonderful thing that you're doing here, and congratulations to you and your team. It's been a professional job all through. This is one, and I have spoken to many overseas visitors as well. Everybody loves to come here, not because of the location, I assure you that. Location is an attraction, but because of the way it is conducted. So please continue to do this work. Well done. As I said, I'm very pleased to be here. Calcutta, I have already spoken in an earlier forum as well. Calcutta is a place where I have a fond connection because I am from a Ramakrishna Mission School, and this is the place of Ramakrishna. So I always love to come here. The only regret this time is I may not be able to go to the temple, but I'll try and see, maybe Sunday morning could be a way to work, but it's always a pleasure to be in Calcutta and speak. So it's a thing of double pleasantness for me, Calcutta and IGC. Now coming back, I listened very carefully to Kothari ji. I think one of the things, if we look back, what we have done in the last 10 years, some things have changed in the industry. Clearly, we saw quite a lot of changes. I mean, right from this new government, we saw demonetization, we saw GST implementation, many things went smoothly. But more things seemed to change. It's also probably something about our expectations. They seem to remain the same. We are still discussing the same issues of complexity in various tax laws. I don't think will we ever get, I'm not saying we will not. I sometimes wonder, will we ever get away from discussing arbitrage opportunities? What is this available cheaper through this route? Or if you fill up this form, you will get it probably much easier. Are we ever going to get out of this and make gold a very strong and bring our strengths in gold in the global arena? We have fantastic skills. We can do many things with gold. Simplest thing, we have an international bullion exchange. We still are working with differential tax systems. Something which comes through the exchange, something which doesn't come through the exchange, and all the ubiquitous gray market, which is always there to tell us that don't worry, it's a welfare scheme, you can always get gold without paying 18.5%. Continues to be that. Now, will we ever change from that? I hope we do in the next 10 years, because some changes like hallmarking seemed as difficult 10 years ago as they're not anymore. So hopefully we should have a far more robust, strong, good and financially integrated bullion system. And which is where, as I see, okay, I'm just looking at what happened next 10 years. Suppose we have this 10 years later, what would we be looking at in this industry? As I see it, I have the luxury, I'm not a government person, so I have the luxury of saying what I see through this thing. Clearly, there will be a huge impetus to non-cash payments. It's quite possible that there may be zero cash payments in this industry. Industry has to prepare for it. In fact, right now we should prepare by saying that if you are using digital currency, our duty will be lower, so that you have AML, everything met, because when you use digital currency, it's actually a recorded digital payment system. So cash will be gone. In my opinion, I think exports, India will allow exports of bars. IIBX is probably the only way by which you can import gold. It doesn't matter where you get gold. You could get it in Calcutta airport, but in Calcutta port, but you still transact to IIBX. We have created an infrastructure. We should tell the global audience that yes, this infrastructure is what we do, good delivery, responsible sourcing, everything can be managed by that regulator. So I think in the next 10 years, we will see that change coming through. We will be an exporter of bars and others. We will have non-cash payments, which probably is the only way you can buy jewelry in this country. And as I said, gold will be part of the banking system. Well, I have taken this to say that this is where we probably have to drive the policy. From World Gold Council, just to end, we believe this is a very, very strong industry. It's obviously the second largest market, so we're always interested in this. From our end, we have participated in the initiatives of the industry. We will continue to support various initiatives, but we have now tossed up the idea of a self-regulatory organization. Every association is doing a great job, but it is important that gold industry has a single body which decides its own fate, which audits itself, whether it be PMLA, whether it be code of conduct, whatever it is. So we have actually discussed, we have put up this initiative. We have seen the initial reactions are very positive. The self-regulatory organization is something which, if I look back in the next probably 5 years, that will be some contribution we would have made to this with the support of you all. And with that, I once again congratulate Srivatsa Eventel for this, and I do hope we have a very, very interesting set of conversations next few days. And we come out, as I said, with a vision paper. It's too long. We must come out with a vision paper. Good luck and have a great evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I invite her up, let me tell you a little bit about Ms. Sakhila Mirza, Executive Director, LBMA. In her role as a General Counsel for the London Bullion Market Association and also as an executive member of LBMA board, Sakhila has been involved in and taken the lead in a number of projects for the association, including but not limited to working closely with the CEO on the strategic direction of LBMA, transitioning all of the 4 precious metal benchmarks onto electronic platforms, leading the draft and launch of Precious Metals Code, and also for lobbying efforts on behalf of members on a number of issues, for example, European Union conflict minerals regulation, net stable funding ratio, amongst other regulations. In addition to this, Sakhila takes responsibility for all the legal and regulatory work of association and that of London Precious Metals Clearing Limited as well, and is also involved in setting policies and leading the incident management process with LBMA. Sakhila read law at the London School of Economics and went on to qualify as a solicitor. Ladies and gentlemen, brace up, presenting none other than Sakhila Mirza.
First of all, thank you so much for the respect and the warm welcome that I get each time when I come to India. And I would like to also echo Som's words with what a fantastic conference. It's been a fantastic beginning. And actually what makes India truly, truly special are the wonderful rituals that we have and actually engaging and being part of something. I mean, the ceremony just an hour ago was actually really, really special. I was so honored to be part of it. So thank you for this opportunity. It's really humbling. Thank you. So I've been with the LBMA for 9 years, and I've got to say that actually coming to India has by far been my favorite destination for several reasons. And whilst I will list in terms of the people I meet, the amount that I learned from a lot of like experienced individuals in the gold market, I do have to call out the food. The food in this country is simply amazing. So thank you again for letting me be here. Let me start then with the LBMA initiatives. I guess introducing the LBMA probably is going to be a bit of a waste of time because I'm assuming you all know what the LBMA does. There's a quick slide. So LBMA, for those who are perhaps not as familiar, and if you're not, please do catch me. I'm around for the next full 2 days. We do advance standards for the international gold industry or the precious metals industry. And the standards include the International Good Delivery List, the Precious Metals Code, as well as the Responsible Sourcing Program. We also work with other organizations on understanding how can we support market innovation and actually, again, using the innovation to support this industry so it can truly be keeping up pace with everything that's going on globally, but also making sure that we are an efficient market that's actually adopting all that innovation that exists today. And finally, working with governments, regulators, civil society, upstream, downstream, the full supply chain in understanding where can we actually improve, but actually what's working well and what is working well. Let's actually talk about the successes of this industry as well, because quite too often we end up focusing on the negatives and the challenges, but sometimes perhaps forget about the successes that we've gained. And actually, for my part, I would like to call out one of the big successes I've seen in India recently is following my visit to GIFT City, was the development of the exchange, the regulator, the ambitions. Being in GIFT City yesterday was truly eye-opening. I think that's a huge success. Yes, there's a journey to actually still be going through, but actually the start of this journey has been truly, truly impressive. And I would like to just say, don't lose that momentum. I learned so much yesterday, and actually it exceeded my expectations, because whilst I expected to sit down with various organizations and to learn a little bit about what they were doing, it was the actual drive, the ambition, the enthusiasm, and the passion that they had in explaining what's happening in India, what's happening in GIFT City, and how people are responding, which was truly endearing for my purposes. So please keep up that momentum. And of course, the LBMA is always going to be part of that journey as and where we can help. And if we can help, we will truly be honored to be invited. So that sort of voice for the market, that voice in terms of engaging with governments is actually an important role, which I personally have adopted over the last few years, because I do like speaking and understanding what's going on, so I can actually exchange ideas and also sort of learn a lot more about the international industry. So now focusing a little bit more specifically about what the LBMA has been doing. So we worked on a technology initiative last year, and this was a joint initiative with the World Gold Council. And it was trying to bring the entire ecosystem together, the entire supply chain together. You may have heard, or some may not have, about this concept, rock to ring. So really understanding where is the gold coming from, where is the gold going, and how is it moving in between from rock to ring. And in order to understand that journey and understand the challenges as well as the sort of the successes, there is an ecosystem, and I appreciate the text is a little bit small, but you will have these slides for your own personal records. It's not just the LBMA that's part of this. There are so many stakeholders that have to come together, and nobody can do and address those challenges single-handedly. I think Som already discussed in terms of some of those challenges and working together. But perhaps that was sort of a bit more focused on the India market. But I would like to sort of expand it and say the help is there from an international market as well. We need to understand what needs doing and how we can collectively work together. So the standards that we are setting at the international level actually addresses the various jurisdictions, but also the various challenges that we all face together. And technology has a huge role to play. So we launched the Gold Bar Integrity Project last year, and this was a pilot which was bringing together 30 market participants, again, globally. So you had mining companies, you had refiners, you had the downstream, but you also had other stakeholders who were observing and understanding what is this technology actually doing? How is it helping? What challenges is it addressing? So some of you may have heard the term GBI, Gold Bar Integrity. So this is understanding blockchain, the movement, and how it's basically addressing some of the due diligence issues, the focus on provenance, the focus around risk mitigation. How does this technology support a lot of those challenges? And I know, again, when I was speaking to a few of the organizations, the exchange and the regulator yesterday, what was actually really helpful for me was I wasn't sitting there explaining what does responsible sourcing mean. When I last spoke at the India conference, which was perhaps in 2019, actually a few people did say to me, every year I've come, my presentation has been quite similar. I've explained what does responsible sourcing mean, I've explained how we are addressing it, and I've explained the challenges. Perhaps now the conversation has completely changed, at least from my perspective in India, because that part of the actual presentation is no longer needed. We all understand what responsible sourcing means. We all understand due diligence. We all understand AML and various supply chain risks. So it's actually really quite sort of, again, promising and progressive to know that the conversation and the dialogue has moved on. So where I'm standing from, I think that's a huge achievement that together has been achieved over the last maybe 3 or 4 years. So one of the outcomes of this technology initiative, or GBI, was understanding the value. It doesn't address every single issue, it doesn't address every single challenge, but it does help us with understanding how can we actually improve data access and gather more data. No regulator, no government authority, no exchange, no market participant, association is willing to make changes without understanding the data that supports those changes. So data is actually extremely powerful, and that technology that exists today can support that understanding, the credibility of the various data points to support us and actually look at some of the developments that are needed in the international market space. So future state with technology. So the LBMA is going to be focusing on a request for proposal in understanding how can some of the service provider address specific use cases that we have identified that actually impact our members. So this is the refiners, the good delivery list refiners. We get a lot of data from good delivery refiners, but there is a better and efficient way of doing this. So our request for proposal is going to be focusing on how can we consolidate a lot of that data and make sure that we can actually, again, publicly disclose it, be more transparent, but also protect confidentiality and competition issues. The project is going to be is going to take us the next 6 months in identifying who the service provider is going to be, the scope of the actual service that we're going to be looking at, and then I suspect it's going to take another year, perhaps longer, on connectivity and implementation. So watch this space. If you'd like to understand more about this specific initiative, again, I'm around over the next 2 days. Sustainability and responsible sourcing. As I've said, the conversation has moved on. It's no longer about what does this mean. It's more about how can we collectively get this right. The first step, what we saw last year at the LBMA Lisbon conference, was the Sustainability Declaration. That was a huge success in the industry coming together, agreeing priorities that affect everybody. Again, we'll be talking about this tomorrow. I know John Mulligan is chairing a session between Albert and myself, so we can share some of our ideas in terms of what we have been doing since we signed up to the declaration as the LBMA. The Responsible Sourcing Program, this continues to grow. The last version, which was version 9, grew from 20 pages to 40 pages. And that's more in terms of giving you an idea about the amount of work that's involved, the amount of scrutiny that the refiners are under, but also making sure that we are achieving the best and the highest standards that we can possibly set. Artisanal mining, I've already had a few questions about what is the LBMA doing on artisanal mining. This isn't something that the LBMA can do single-handedly. This isn't something that the Indian market can address single-handedly. Collaboration, cooperation, coming together actually is the only way to understand how can we get this right. It is an absolute important part of the supply chain. It affects 40 million people who are working in ASM. So ignoring it would be a huge disadvantage to a lot of those communities. But embracing it, you have to do it in addressing how you address those challenges. And then finally, our work on the international bullion centers. This is about making sure that we're all working, again, on the similar priorities. What is it that the private sector is looking at? And what is it that the government is doing? And are they actually connecting? So later this year, we're going to be launching the LBMA Sustainability Strategy. We've got 5 pillars under this strategy. The first pillar is Responsible Sourcing Program. I'm not going to speak about that in any detail. Second pillar is the ASM, already mentioned. The third pillar is this point about collaboration. How do we actually strengthen that collaboration? To talk about collaborating is quite easy, but what exactly are we collaborating on? What are those priorities and how do we do it? It's not just miners, it's not just refiners, it's not just bullion banks, but what are we asking about of them and how do we actually make sure we can achieve those milestones? And then obviously the LBMA. We have to lead by example. So sustainability has become a bigger and bigger agenda for every organization. It's something that we're also dealing with, and we're also going to be committing to certain deliverables at the end of the 3 years as well. And then finally, for the LBMA, it is a new area. It is looking at the enablers. Everybody has heard about climate change, and it's actually very impressive what I'm reading in the papers in India about the focus on climate change, focus on in terms of electronic, renewable energy. Human rights, also understanding how can we as an industry address some of the real challenges that arise as a result of human rights issues, and then looking at adopting the UN Sustainable Development Goals more formally. We all have them somehow in our businesses, but actually let's formalize them, let's understand the priorities. There's 17 goals. Clearly you can't work on all 17 goals at the same time. So how do you actually identify which are relevant to which organization and how do we actually adopt them? So these are just a few slides, more for reference purposes in understanding what were the changes in version 9. Again, I think I would encourage for those who are impacted directly on the sourcing program to have a read, to understand how are the international refiners looking at this and how can you actually perhaps incorporate elements, if not all of it, into your own businesses. Some may be relevant, some may not, but actually it's a good reference tool. But also it helps the Indian market know the direction that we're heading in when it comes to the sourcing program. ASM, already mentioned, we do have a task force that was set up earlier this year. The task force represents, again, the international global supply chain, includes various stakeholders who have interest in ASM. If you are interested, get in touch, or if you just want to understand the work of the task force, so I appreciate everybody has day jobs, very busy schedules, so it may not be possible to be part of it, but if you want to just understand what's coming out of this task force, again, get in touch. Maybe we are not sharing enough information, so it would be great to get that feedback if you need more information. And this is a little bit more on the task force. And then the international bullion recommendations. I mean, number 2, our focus, one of our key strategic focus for the last 3 years has been responsible sourcing, elimination of cash, and provision of ASM. And this is something we've written to all international bullion hubs. And actually, India, as we just heard from Som, this sort of movement towards eliminating cash, we're already on track here. So a lot of this is more as a reference understanding of what other international governments are looking at, but also knowing, okay, where are we in terms of the LBMA in achieving those strategic objectives, and how are others also looking to focus on those objectives. Finally, the financial market update. There's a lot happening in the financial markets, and I am running out of time, but I wanted to highlight the LBMA auction. So this is where the international gold price is set. Would love to have Indian banks also represented in the international auction. It is important. It is one of the largest markets in the world. So having international banks have a seat at the table. We already have 16 market participants. So having some more would only add to the integrity and the credibility of the international price. HQLA, it baffles me, it baffles everybody how gold is still not recognized as a high quality liquid asset. We, together with the World Gold Council, are actively looking at what else can we do to get the regulators to understand that gold is at HQLA. I don't think it needs any convincing in India that gold is at HQLA. Sadly, we do need to convince some other governments that gold should be treated as HQLA. Focus on more data and understanding, we get a lot of trade data through the banks in London, so we are publishing this on a daily basis, but we're also looking at other data points that can help the industry better inform themselves and educate themselves as to what's happening in the market space. And finally, the code of conduct. This is the Precious Metals Code that has been drafted and implemented for the global market. It's not a London code, because sometimes I think people think it's just for the London market. It is not. It is something that, again, you can use. Elements will be relevant, elements may not be relevant, but it's a good reference point to understand what is it that we're all looking at when we talk about code of conduct. And also, just to highlight, a lot of what I've been saying and a lot of the points that I've already raised, we're going to be launching training sessions in India. This is being done through FinMet. So Sunil Kashyap, who a lot of you already know, so he needs no introduction, he's going to be leading a lot of the training sessions in local languages to help your staff, to help you as well, to understand what is it that the LBMA is doing, what are the international standards, how do they apply, and how are they or not relevant to your businesses. So if you would like to be part of this training sessions, speak to Sunil, speak to me, and we'll get you connected. Hopefully this will be coming in the next few months, but I'll leave Sunil to give you the timelines on that. So with that, again, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I always talk a little bit fast because there's so much to cover, but I'd love to speak to you over the next few days and also learn about your businesses and how they're progressing over the last few years as well. So thank you.
It's time for me to introduce to you the Managing Director and the Chief Executive Officer of MMTC PAMP, Mr. Vikas Singh. With over 25 years of experience in leading, growing, and transforming businesses in hyper-competitive environments, he's built a culture centered around innovation and customer experience, enabled by winning teams, which he feels is a critical part of his leadership philosophy. Prior to MMTC PAMP, he was the Managing Director of Pearson Education, India and South Asia, which is world's leading learning company, and he's also held leadership positions in companies such as Kimberly-Clark and Airtel, and he believes in a lifelong learning and has attended leadership programs across premier global schools such as Harvard Business School, INSEAD, Jim Collins Academy, and the Singtel Group. Ladies and gentlemen, he holds a business management degree from FMS Delhi. Please put your hands up as Mr. Vikas Singh joins us on a podium for a quick overview.
First and foremost, once again, Mr. Srivatsa, big congratulations to you on the 20 years. This is truly, you've created truly a global forum. The finest of minds coming here, sharing their experiences, their thoughts, with that single-minded objective of how do we make impact. And I think that is really, what any forum of this format should really be all about. If you go back to the last 3 years and try and think about what the world has been through, I would say that by and large, most of the management theories have possibly literally gone out of the window. It's been about disruption. It's been about what we loosely and quite commonly say, the new normal. It's about a series of headlines that we are not familiar with, we've not experienced, we don't know what the outcomes are going to be. Think of a few of them. We went through a pandemic of absolutely unimaginable proportions. It is supposed to be the worst after possibly the world wars. You're talking about it coming to us twice over. You're talking about all economic metrics getting impacted at a level, once again, unimaginable. Inflation's gone through the roof. Interest rates have gone up. You moved from, you're bordering between inflation and stagflation. It's a very, very dangerous place to be. You don't know whether to invest or whether to pull back. You're talking about moving from quantitative easing to quantitative contraction. You're talking about all kinds of geopolitical turmoil. You're talking about world leaders not being clear in terms of which route to take to grow their economy and which type of politics to follow. But across all of this turmoil around us, the one thing which has remained fairly consistent is that India maintains what we at MMTC PAMP strongly believe a divine relationship with gold and silver. This has remained unchanged. And as a matter of fact, as the global and economic volatility goes up, if anything, this relationship also gets stronger. Because when literally the going gets tough, this is where the people go to anchor their bets, save their hard-earned resources, and hedge for tomorrow. I think the question in this, for all of us in this forum really, and this is something that I really look forward to engaging with all of you because it's a beautifully curated agenda, very, very thought-provoking themes. We've just been through one on PMLA, and like this, there is a whole list ahead of us. The question is, what does this industry in the Indian context wish to stand for in the years ahead? If you go back to the dream that the Honorable Prime Minister has set out, which is, for example, a $5 trillion economy, you're talking about $100 billion sitting here. Now, in this context, if we are able to set ourselves that one vision, that one goal, and Kothari ji referred to it, Som referred to it, and I think we all talk about it in our different conversations, but maybe we need to make it a rallying cry. How is this industry going to contribute to the national exchequer? What does it need to be able to get there? There are a lot of different moving parts. How do we get them all aligned and contribute, do our bit to get to this journey of $5 trillion? I think this is firmly what we need to really make it into a rallying cry. Till the time we are not able to do that together as one voice, I suspect it's going to be a fragmented message that goes out from all of us, and which in a way prolongs this journey and makes it more difficult. So is it exports? Is it economic viability, which is, for example, duty differential? Is it, for example, being responsible, ESG, climate change? Whatever words you choose to do, my only recommendation to each of you is do think about it in this particular forum, and let's try and find a way of aligning our thoughts so that there's this one message that goes out. I think in bits and pieces, there's a whole load happening out there, a whole lot of investments coming in, but somewhere this journey, I believe, can leverage each other much better. So with this, I'll pause and thank you again. Look forward to a really wonderful 2 days ahead, engaging with all of you and coming out much richer in terms of the route and path we should be taking to build India and build this sector. Thank you.